For a time, we tried to contact him by radio, but no response.
Welcome, everybody, to this special edition prediction episode of the Dunmarks podcast on Throwdown Thursday. It's your boy Steve and Chris here, giving you all the knowledge and breakdown of Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill coming up this Saturday. Chris, are you excited for an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view?
Steve, if you would have said to me a year ago that as a brand new company, AEW and the AEW World Championship would be featured on Impact Wrestling pay-per-view, just would have totally brushed it off. Wouldn't have thought anything of it. Yet here we are, a year later, a weird partnership, but it's definitely something that has been keeping the wrestling world buzzing the past month. We both watch each brand, AEW and Impact, but between the two of us, you're definitely the Impact fan and the one that keeps more consistent with it than I do.
Yeah, I've been pretty steady almost on a weekly basis since Slammiversary. I dabbled on and off ever since D'Amore and Callis took over. I've enjoyed what they've done with the company. Some of the talent that used to be there that's in other companies now may disagree with that. But for the most part, they've put on a solid show, and they've gotten a viewer back from one that used to watch them in the heyday whenever they were arguably the number 2 wrestling promotion in the world. Definitely in the U.S., but it rivaled, New Japan and anything else that you want to put up there as far as a global company at that point in time.
Yeah, up until AEW, a lot really did consider them the number 2 promotion. Maybe the past few years they might have flipped back and forth with the Ring of Honor a little bit, especially since Ring of Honor had the New Japan partnership. But I mean, TNA for a number of years was the alternative in wrestling before AEW stepped on board.
Yeah, and I mean, look at how much talent that used to be in TNA during the quote unquote golden era of TNA that are in WWE and AEW. So
absolutely.
You can say what you will about TNA, but the talent roster that they had was stacked. Mismanagement and all those issues, that's not what we're here for to go into. We're here to break down this card for Saturday night. So, Chris, let me ask you this before we jump into the card and break it down. If I were to tell you that you would be purchasing an Impact pay-per-view, what would you say to that?
Who said I was purchasing this one? Honestly, yeah, I'm not buying this one either. I will watch it, but I'm not buying this one. $40 is a lot to spend on Impact right now, I think.
See, I mean, I know COVID times and that you can't get 4 or 6 of your buddies over to each to throw $5 to $10 down and cover the pay-per-view, order a pizza, drink a couple beers, and you have a guys night in. Considering we're in the Northeast in the wintertime. But I mean, I'm curious to see what the pay-per-view buys actually numbers do for this show. I think it's much anticipated. I think the buzz surrounding the company is loud right now, and I mean, it was evident by that initial, Kenny Omega debut on Impact after the angle they ran on Dynamite the following week. The numbers were through the roof. So hopefully they've done a good job to keep the buzz going. I think they've done well, especially the last couple weeks, to incorporate the characters that are going to be featured on this pay-per-view in the main event on both shows and keep the buzz around it. Besides that, the card itself is a decent card. It's strong. There's good talent on this card, good matchups, good matches, and with that, I guess if you're ready, we can go ahead and hop in and run through this card and give the viewers some predictions on who we think will win and why.
We're looking at 9 matches right now on this card. That's starting with the pre-show all the way to the main event. So that is a lot of matches for an Impact card, roughly a 3-hour show, most likely. So yeah, let's take a look. We'll start with the countdown show, as they're calling it, with the match of Josh Alexander versus Brian Myers.
So, I mean, you saw a little bit on Tuesday night if you tuned in on Impact, how they led up to this. Obviously, you know, Josh Alexander to me is an underappreciated talent that I think as the year goes on in Impact, the star will shine brighter for him. I know he was part of the North and they were tag team champions for over a year, but as far as a true in ring performer and wrestler, I think he's somebody that will jump onto the radar this year for a lot of people that aren't aware of what he can do in the ring. And Brian Myers, say what you will about him, he's been good since he's come over to Impact. I love the character that he's portraying, and coming off as the the ultimate pro wrestler of pro wrestlers. But he's doing it in a slimy, dickhead way, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Josh Alexander here, the walking weapon, and give him the victory over Brian Myers.
I'll actually agree with that. Unfortunately, I love the North. They were a great tag team. I think you were actually more a fan of them before I got on board with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of Ethan Page. We'll get to him a little bit later, but looks like Ethan Page is going to go a different way. Not sure where he's going yet, but he's going a different route. So Josh Alexander is going to be on his own, at least for the moment. So
right.
This match to me is to establish him as a single star in Impact. So yeah, I definitely see Josh Alexander getting the win.
Okay.
So now moving on to the main card. Let's kick it off. Usually you got to have a match that gets the fans going, and what better way to do that than with the X Division? Championship.
Yeah, I agree. Now we're going to break down this card, and by no means are we saying this is the order the matches will appear on the show. But as you said, to get the show running and set the bar for the performances for the rest of the night, I think it would be smart if they throw on this in the X Division Championship. Manik, Chris Bay, and Rohit. This one's going to be fast paced, a lot of action, not too many dull spots. And the X Division, which was always the strongest division in Impact, once again will show why it's one of the stronger divisions in Impact now.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I kind of felt like the early to mid 2010s did with the X Division was kind of slow that division down a bit. They had champions that really, the whole X Division is supposed to be about no limits, not weight limits.
Right.
That was the original tagline, and that's kind of what they did. They had a lot of bigger guys with that title there for a while, and it wasn't the normal like cruiserweight style X Division that everybody was so used to. And the Impact definitely in the past few years has gotten back into that. And this match is X Division 101 basically with these competitors.
Absolutely. So Manik, who we all believe to be TJP under the mask.
Yeah.
Rohit and Chris Bay have been trying to unmask Manik to prove that it is TJP. The storyline that has led up to this match. This is a tough one for me to call. I can see him going with any of the three competitors in the match, honestly. Chris Bay had that short run with it, and then Rohit took the belt off of him and had it and did a great job with it. He was that heel that always found a way to get out of the match somehow with the title, and did creative things to keep the belt. If it was me booking it, and personally, I would put it on Chris Bay. I think Chris Bay's an absolute star. He's phenomenal in the ring, and his charisma is only starting to grow the more and more that he's out there on screen and performing. So I would give it to Chris Bay and let him run with it for a while.
I wouldn't mind seeing Chris Bay take the title on Saturday. My prediction is going to be that the title stays with Manik. Like you said, Rohit was that great champion that was able to escape out of the matches and retain the title. We saw that went on for a little bit too long for me, so I hope they don't go back with him right now. So I'm gonna go with Manic, but I'd be okay if Chris Bay won the title.
Yeah, my head says Manic, my heart says Chris Bay, so I'll go with my heart on this one instead of listening to logic and booking. But I'll go with my heart and say Chris Bay.
Nice. All right, we'll move on to the next match, which is an intergender tag match between Rosemary and Crazy Steve versus Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K.
Caleb with a K.
Excuse me.
Caleb with a K. Get it right. This is an interesting match. You know, Impact, say what you will, they do the intergender wrestling, whether you like it, agree with it or not. But when they do it well, and it's usually set up to where both individuals that are in the match shine, and it doesn't take away from the believability of the match. So you can look at Tessa's run that she had there and who she fought as far as other competitors go. An intergender tag match may come off a little bit different. This is where the girls will get involved with the guys, right? It's not WWE intergender where it's girls versus girls and guys versus guys. Correct?
I don't know what the stipulation is in this match. That's what I'm assuming going in. I'm thinking it's going to be more like Lucha Underground intergender, where the men and women can mix it up together. Because the WWE style, I get it why they don't do it, but I think especially since Lucha Underground was so invested in that, I think the diehard wrestling fan do enjoy that from time to time.
Now Tennille was gone for a while after she initially signed with them. I think she's too much of a talent to have her not catapult into the main event scene at some point in time. So I think one of the ways that you can get her started and get her revved up and going is to come out of this match with a victory. So I'm going to go with Tennille and Caleb with a K.
I agree. I think 2021 is going to be the year that Tennille does get some knockouts gold, whether that is singles or tag now after the Saturday the tag title is being brought back. We'll see. Rosemary is that talent that no matter what you do with her, she's still going to shine. You know, wrestling fans love her in Impact. So no matter what you do with her, you're really not going to harm her. And she's been in the spotlight a lot the past months. So I agree. I think this is her time to elevate.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I'm so impressed with every time he gets in the ring is Crazy Steve, because he is legally blind. Tommy Dreamer.
I didn't know that until you told me that last week.
Yeah, Tommy Dreamer talked about it on Busted Open a while ago. He talked about it. But man, just the things that he does in the ring and to be legally blind is insane, and just makes you appreciate him more whenever you see him perform out there. So, but I still go with the heels over the baby faces in this one.
Yeah, I think at some point Tennille's stock has to rise and get to that next level, and this is as good a place as any to kick off the year.
Absolutely.
So the next one, which I'm guessing is probably going to be our cinematic match of the night, because I don't know how else you do this match, but the Karate Man versus Ethan Page.
So this match was filmed in November. Ethan Page's contract is already up with Impact, and he is moving on elsewhere. So he is a free agent, and we will look to see where he shows up here in the future. So it is already filmed. They already have it done in the can, as they say. This is going to be very interesting to see how they pull this off. I think if anybody's going to be able to pull it off, I think it is Ethan Page. With how he is, if you follow him on social medias, follow YouTube, whatever the case may be, he's an entertaining individual. So I think this will come off. I'm hoping this comes off entertaining and it's not a letdown. I'm not saying that I have high expectations for the match, but I think you'll be entertained with it if you go in with the understanding of it is what it is and don't try and pigeonhole it into something that it's not. So take it as an entertaining cinematic match. I'm sure Jim Cornette will have an aneurysm over it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't see there being any other way to do this match other than some type of comedic style cinematic match. Ethan Page doing both these characters, so we'll see what he does. I don't know if anybody else will get involved in the match, but like you said, he's moving on, and he's already been doing the countdown on his social media to when he can, I guess, sign or announce where he's going next.
Right.
So yeah, he seems to be happy that he's been home and healing, recovering from any injuries that he may have had. So I became an Ethan Page fan in 2020, so I'm really excited to see, where he goes to next, because I think no matter where he goes, he's going to be a star. My guess, if I had to make a guess, is that he's not going to go to AEW, because what would the point of all this be with AEW and Impact working together?
Right.
We'll just have to wait and see where he goes next.
I mean,
Ethan Page is leaving Impact, I'm going with Karate Man for the win.
I was going to say that no matter who you pick here, Ethan Page is the winner, right? So there's really no wrong answer in this selection. Since you went with Karate Man, I'll go opposite, and I'll go with Ethan Page himself.
Okay. So let's hope it's a good time. Next match we're going to go to is the Impact Knockouts Championship. Champion Deonna Purrazzo versus Taya Valkyrie.
So this to me is a match that could potentially steal the show and be match of the night. Both women are very good in the ring. Taya, if you didn't follow Taya before she got to Impact, the stuff she did in Mexico, go watch that. That was some of the best women's work there was, and the stuff she did in Lucha Underground was just as good. She's the longest reigning Impact Women's Championship for a reason, Women's Knockout Champion for a reason. And I love everything about Deonna Purrazzo since she's come into Impact. I think she's really stood out there. Which, given some of the women that are in that Knockouts division, it's scratch your claw to get to the top, because that division is deep with talent, and she's stood out amongst the rest of them. So I'm gonna go with Deonna, and I say that with the fact that I believe they're gonna carry on the storyline with Sue Young and now Susan. Who James Mitchell kind of created a couple weeks ago on Impact. But give me Deonna to keep the belt. I think she's the right person to have it right now. And Taya is always going to be a main eventer. You can slide her in at any point in time and put the belt back on her. Not sure what her contract status is. I know some, there are rumored to be a lot of Impact stars that were up soon, if not already up first of the year. So we'll see if she ends up joining her husband over in WWE land. But give me Deonna for the win here.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about Taya, any rumors on what her contract status is either. Deonna seems to be the franchise player in the Knockouts division right now. Funny enough that when she won the belt, she wasn't even under contract full time.
Right.
She's just carried the division since. And right now, I don't see that coming to an end either. So I'm going to go with Deonna. And, other than Tenille, I'm not sure who they're really pushing at the moment to say this is the next Knockouts champion. So we could be seeing a long run with Deonna.
Right. I'm all for that. Like I said, she's been great so far. So
yeah. All right, moving on. What I'm going to consider to be the bathroom break match of the evening. The old school rules: Eric Young, Deaner, Joe Doran, cousin Jake, Rhino, Drew.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
For me, I'm not saying for everybody, just for me.
Yeah, no, is this a match that I'm super looking forward to on the card? No, it's not. Do I like the story around Eric Young and Cody Deaner, now Deaner, and his transformation and what Eric Young is doing? I do, but I like Eric Young, and I think he portrays this character well. So, with that being said, and the story that they told so far, I think, I'm going to go with Eric Young, Doring, and Deaner to pick up the win. and Dreamer, like I know he loves wrestling, and he will wrestle till he's 95 if he can and he's able to. But I think Tommy's starting to get to the point where like let's stick to the backstage stuff. I'm not gonna tell him to hang him up because he's Tommy. He's Tommy Dreamer. He's ECF and W. He's all those things. As a teenage me growing up, that I watched and loved about the business and about ECW. So I'm not gonna by any means say he's lost it completely and needs to hang it up, but at some point in time, you got to know when it's your time to go, and maybe we're coming towards the end of the run for Dreamer. Rhino's up there as well. But I think this is a way to further the storyline with Eric Young, and maybe he takes cousin Jake and transforms him similar to what he did with Cody Deaner, who's now Deaner.
Yeah. Like you were talking about with Tommy Dreamer's career, I'm not saying this is how he's going to go, but I could easily see him maybe being like his mentor, Terry Funk, just going on as long as he can do it. So we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with Tommy Dreamer.
Hey, this match is what it is. You're not getting a 5-star classic with this match. You're going to get the shenanigans. You're going to get the kendo sticks. You're going to get the garbage cans, maybe a cheese grater, a pie plate. Like you know what I mean. You're going to get it. It's going to be what it is.
Kitchen sink match. That's exactly what it is, and
it
is what it is. I'm with you. I'm not an Eric Young fan, but I think we're going to see Eric Young, Deaner, and Joe Doring win this match because their story it makes sense for them to win, keep elevating their story and moving on.
Yep.
And we'll go with that. So we'll move on to what is going to be crowned the new Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions. The final match is Havoc and Nevaeh versus Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz.
So when we broke down on the podcast who we predicted to win the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championship, I believe you looked at the bracket and you picked Havoc and Nevaeh as your team to win it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And I'm trying to remember who I went with. I think I might have went with Jordynne Grace and Jazz just for the sentimental factor.
I think when we did the predictions, we weren't sure who Jordynne Grace was picking. And
yeah, that's right.
With her.
Yeah. This is a coin flip for me, honestly. I really like Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan together. I think Kiera Hogan has grown leaps and bounds from when she started to where she's at now. Tasha Steelz is the real deal. If anybody listens to Busted Open, Bully Ray rants and raves about her. When she debuted at Impact, she was with ROH a couple times, and he went to the ROH brass and told them, hey, you need to sign her now. Like, she is a legitimate player. She's going to be somebody in this business. And, I think she's done that since she's been in Impact, and them two work great together. They're a package deal. They come off as a team, a true team. Whether you like them or hate them, like them or love them, that's what they do and get you invested. Havoc and Nevaeh are great together. That's going to be tough for Tasha and Kiera to overcome with those two, just based off of size-wise, strength, power. It's going to be a speed versus power matchup in my estimation, given the difference of the women in the match. But I think I'm going to go with Kiera and Tasha Steelz here to bring home the Knockouts Tag Team Championships.
I think either team that wins this, I think that they're a strong team and deserving of the championship. My pick was Havoc and Nevaeh at the beginning. I'm gonna see that through in this final match as well. Like you said, it's just they're a dominating force in the ring.
Yeah. I could easily see them winning it for sure. Like I said, it's a legitimate coin flip for me. But I think I'll go with Tasha and Kiera to elevate them. Not that necessarily the belts are needed to make them, but I think having them with the belts will do more for them than what it will for Havoc and Nevaeh.
Yeah. I mean, Havoc's been with Impact for a good while now. So yep. I don't even remember. I believe she's been Knockouts champion, but I don't remember if that was just a one-time thing or what. But
Yeah, she's held the title, and she's somebody at any point in time that you could put into the knockouts title, um, scenario as well as far as being a main eventer for the division. So I wouldn't be shocked if they go either way, honestly. But I'll take Steels and Hogan.
yeah, okay. The next match is a match that we talked about before we got on here. That I'm not sure where they're putting this match on the card. It is the Barbed Wire Massacre between Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan. It's such an interesting match. If they do a normal in the ring, is this pre-taped before the others? And they just put it wherever, or is it more cinematic? Especially with Sami, you never know.
Yeah, I mean this is I believe this is the second Barbed Wire Massacre to occur. Sami was involved in the first one, and it was brutal. It was so brutal to the point where Impact at that time was like replaying stuff from pay-per-views on their weekly show, just as like filler because talent, whatever booking wise. So they would take matches and put it in, but they couldn't air it on TV because of how brutal it was. So this match, like they said in the video package on Tuesday night, it's 3 years in the making. It's been built up since the baseball bat incident, which was a shoot and legitimately almost ended Eddie Edwards' career. Sami Callihan took that and ran with it and was the most hated man in all of professional wrestling. And he let everybody know that he was the most hated man in all of professional wrestling. And he used that as a catapult, to eventually become Impact World Heavyweight Champion. That's what, spurned his run and got him started was that incident. Not saying he did it on purpose, but it was what it was and it happened. So, he took it and ran with it and used it. These two to me are like in a fight forever camp where they just beat the shit out of each other every single time they're in the ring. I think you got to go with. I don't know, man.
It's tough.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you got? What are your thoughts?
It's like at the same time, is this just another chapter? Is this it? Where does this match fall in? Because they have gone back to the well a few times with these guys. It's been a great feud. They always deliver. Nothing wrong with it, but it's like, where does this fit in with the storyline?
I think you gotta. I mean, I think you gotta end it with this. Like, there's no bigger match than a Barbed Wire Massacre match. Like, what are you gonna do to top that? This has to be the end of the line for the feud. Like, they sprinkled Shamrock into it to get it started again and jump back into it. They've added Eddie's wife into it. I don't know. 3 years in the making is a long time, for sure. To have the blow off.
So is this whole feud retribution for Eddie that you give him the win, or is this showing how twisted Sami is and elevating him to whatever his next story going to be, and you put him over? That's where I'm going back and forth, and I'm not. My gut's telling me Sami, but I could like you were saying in the last match, that you could do a coin flip for either one. I'm kind of the same way on this one, that I could see Eddie winning it, but my gut's telling me Sami.
I mean, initially, like you would think typically, if you were going by the booking, you would say the babyface got to prevail, right? Like, and overcomes and gets to stand tall at the end. It has gone through all that they've gone through for 3+ years of this storyline and this feud that's been off and on. You would think that he would have to prevail, but like I said, this is Sami's wheelhouse. This is what he does. This is what got him noticed, which got him originally a developmental deal in NXT before he jumped to Impact. So I'm going to go with Eddie. I think Sami's not going to be hurt by this match if he loses, because he's Sami Callihan and this is his style match. So he doesn't fall off if he takes a loss here. I think a loss for Eddie Edwards here does more for him than what it does for Sami. I mean, Eddie was the champion going into Slammiversary. So like you're talking 6 months ago, he was your champion, and now he's losing his biggest. He's losing to his biggest rival in a blow-off match. I just don't see what you do with Eddie after this.
Yeah. Really, right now, I'm not sure where either one's going to go. So maybe this is the perfect time to refresh, or you mentioned people's contracts running out. I don't know if either one of them are going to be in that situation, but
yeah, me either. But I don't see either one of them leaving Impact. Honestly,
No,
I think they both been there through the good and the bad, and they really have been two of the pillars for Impact, and two of the people that regardless of circumstances have stuck it out and have driven and grinded and fought to get Impact Wrestling back into relevancy again. And I don't think either one of them would actually go anywhere else. Sammy's not going back to WWE.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so but yeah, give me Eddie Edwards to stand tall. It's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be a brutal match.
All right, we got a comment to Johnny. He chimed in that he's got Eddie on this one as well.
Okay. Yeah, so like you said.
On that. All right, so that leads us into the main event. The AEW World Champion Kenny Omega teaming with the Impact Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, versus Impact Champion Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns. This is the match that we've been building to the past month.
Absolutely, the last 4 to 6 weeks. This is what it's all about. It's about this 6-man tag match. I mean, you got to go Omega and the Good Brothers winning this. There's no point in having them lose this match.
No, and I think that does more harm than good.
I mean, so here's my thing with this, right? And we've talked about this on the regular podcast, but like, if Kenny Omega is going to be on this collector character where he's like Thanos going around to different promotions and sucking up all the heavyweight championships, obviously, like, you're not going to have him lose to Rich Swann in this 6-man tag. And we all know, based off of Genesis last week, that Moose has a title shot against Rich Swann at a future date. He won that by winning the I Quit match, even though he said I quit. That was part of his plan. He brutalized Willie Mack to the point where Rich Swann would give him a title shot in order to stop the punishment. So he was the one that said I quit, which was storytelling was done really well in that match. If you go back and watch that Genesis, that was a very good job of storytelling and getting the point home of how brutal Moose could be. I know you're not a fan of Moose, but from a storytelling,
he did do a great job of brutalizing Willie Mack in that match. When he threw him off of the top rope into the table, I mean, that was a great spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Moose is in line for a shot at the belt. What is Moose a better person to face Omega for the belt? Potentially. I think Rich Swann and Kenny Omega, if they do actually get into the ring and face each other for championship versus championship, I think people are going to be surprised at how good that match is, because people sleep on Rich Swann. He's not the best talker in the business. I don't like him on the microphone at all, but he's very talented in the ring. And him and Omega, their styles, the speed, the athleticism of both of them, I think would put on a hell of a match. So if we're going to build up to that, what better way to start planting the seeds of doubt in Rich Swann's head than to have him lose this match on Saturday?
Yeah, that's a good point. That your thought process is pretty much exactly where I was going with this, where I didn't expect them to throw in Moose into an Impact title picture already. I figured it was coming. I just didn't expect it to be going on with Kenny teasing him becoming a collector. Because if you put Kenny and Rich Swann in a match together, my money's on Kenny to win that.
Oh, absolutely.
If you put the title on Moose and then do it, it's just like, well, you've been building Moose up to be the next champion for a few years now. why would you have him just drop the title to Kenny Omega? So it's like, yeah, and it kind of has already put that doubt in the back of my mind that are we actually going to see Kenny collect the Impact Championship now? Because the way that last week when they did this, it's just like, well, it seems like they're moving forward with the storyline than throwing Kenny in the mix. So
I think, and that's what makes it so interesting because you're getting story on both programs surrounding Omega and the Good Brothers. If you watched Dynamite last night, you saw them, shutting out the Young Bucks and Don Callis with the big ring announcement for Kenny's best friends, the Good Brothers instead of the Young Bucks, and you saw, Young Bucks standing backstage with Tony Khan and that scene play out. And then, over on Impact, it's the Good Brothers and Omega sitting on the bus running the show, and kind of taking over Impact, which is how we got to this point for this match. So it'll be interesting to see the fallout. I think I know that Omega and the Good Brothers are going to win. I think the match will be good because all six men, are talented. Motor City Machine Guns are great. I'm more interested in seeing the storylines that come out of it on both shows and where we go from here. Because this is really like the first big domino of this alliance between Impact and AEW is this Hard to Kill pay-per-view. So to me, if you're going to do something, because AEW has a pay-per-view in February, so where do we go from there with it? Do we get more people showing up on Impact? Does it lead to other matches between individuals in AEW and Impact? That was the big thing when this first started, was the speculation of dream matches.
Yeah.
Who would you want to see? Obviously, my dream match isn't going to happen because Ethan Page is done with Impact, so I'm not going to get the North versus FTR. But at the same time, there's still matchups out there for crossover that it will draw eyes to both shows, regardless of whether or not belts are on the line.
Yeah, no, I agree. My thought process is very similar to yours right now. That the whole build-up so far has been mostly AEW invading Impact, and now with AEW having a pay-per-view after this, maybe we see Impact starting to invade AEW instead. The downside to this whole situation is how TNA tapes their shows in advance, and you have to plan for all that so far ahead of time.
And that's why we got the lull in this storyline, because Impact had their best of shows for the last 2 weeks of the year. So you had the 2-week break, and then you had this past Tuesday and the week before for them to actually build and get you excited for the match on Saturday. I don't know how that's going to work out going forward. Like you said, with Impact, with taping. Normally, when they have a pay-per-view like this, they'll tape the next 2 months worth of TV out because they normally do 8 weeks worth of television, which will lead to potentially another pay-per-view or another Impact Plus special where they'll tape more television in. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm really interested for the fallout. I'm excited for the match. I think it'll be a good match. I definitely have Omega and the Good Brothers winning. But I'm more excited to see where it's going to go after this.
Yeah, I definitely would like to see, because the story is very interesting to me, especially the way things played out in AEW, like you said, with the girls being put into the match with the Young Bucks. It's like last week you just brought in the Young Bucks, and now is there already, them being part of this new elite group? Is it already hanging by a thread? Are you already chancing it? And the unknown is so amazing in this whole storyline. That's the best part about being a wrestling fan, is whenever you do not know what direction they're going.
Right.
And that's this whole storyline. That's why I'm in it for the ride.
Yeah, whether you like whether you like the destination, you're fully invested in the journey. Yeah. And I think so far with this alliance between the two companies, I've been on board and enjoying the journey so far. I'm not gonna pigeonhole or look forward and predict the destination on where it goes, because it could splinter off into so many different directions and so many different things. But I'm definitely on board for the ride and going to enjoy the journey for what it is, because Hey, whether you like Callis or not, I mean, he's right. This is history. Like when have we seen two prominent companies team up and work together? Um, hasn't been done since the territory days, and that was that was out of necessity to keep each territory going, and based off the handshake deals that the territory owners had with each other, as far as giving stars up for certain matches and moving champions around as special attractions. So this is really like, I know New Japan and ROH had an alliance and worked together, but that's New Japan. They're halfway around the world, so it's not two American-based wrestling companies working together, and that's what makes this so interesting.
Yeah. Johnny posted another comment again that Kenny needed to go back to this gimmick that he had in Japan. And I mean, this is what he was known for, and seeing him go back to this has been pretty exciting.
Yeah, I saw there was a lot of there was some tweets last night. I watched NXT last night live. You watched Dynamite live, and we were both live tweeting to each show. And on the NXT side, in there, watching tweets and that, and looking at some of the stuff online as the shows were going on. Some people are voicing displeasure with the version of the cleaner that we're getting so far from Kenny Omega, and to that I say it's way too early to judge.
Yeah.
Way too early to judge. You can't even. It's so new. You can't even form an opinion on it.
Yeah. We don't even know what their thought process is on anything yet.
Yeah, and I mean, and as as the great wrestlers have shown us, you don't ever go back and do the same exact gimmick the same way that you did it before. Jericho doesn't go back and do, Lionheart Jericho, reading off the list of 1,000 holds. He reinvents. He does a new version of himself. He does a new version of the character. That's what keeps him fresh. That's what makes him Chris Jericho. Yep. And to me, this is just Kenny Omega taking the cleaner gimmick that he did in New Japan and putting a new spin on it, new coat of paint, and taking it where he sees fit and where he wants to go with it. So I'm not going to form an opinion on it right now. It's way too early in the story. There's going to be a ton of pages and ton of chapters that come with this, but I'm definitely along for the ride for sure.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm interested to see where we move next after Hard to Kill, because it seems like this is a stepping stone in the story. And what's the next stop? I'm ready.
Right.
Is it Beach Break or?
Beach Break would be up next. I don't see anything happening there. To as far as like Impact AEW goes, I don't see anything happening there. But you never know. I mean, you never say never in the world of wrestling.
Very true.
And that gives you Beach Break is what day is that, the 9th?
February 3rd, I think. I think it's early.
Or is it the 17th? It's not that late, is it?
I don't think, because I think they're still supposed to have Revolution in February.
Revolution is the 28th.
That could be the 27th. I'm looking at a calendar right now. That has potential for that. February 3rd is Beach Break.
So I mean, if you have Beach Break on the 3rd and you have Revolution on the 27th, that gives you 3 weeks worth of television and storyline to build up something between the two companies. If you're gonna do something on Dynamite with Impact wrestlers, to me, if Impact's getting the rub and the draw from AEW as far as them sending Omega over to be in this match, on the flip side of that, who does Impact send over to AEW for a match that gets you excited? And that's where I think there's issues, or not necessarily issues, but that's where concerns may arise, because does Impact have they don't have a star on that level to send back in return to generate buzz for a match.
No, it's true. The only one that would really generate the buzz would probably be Rich Swann, just because he's the champion. I'm not trying to put Rich Swann down, but just because he's the champion, that's the only reason why that would create such buzz.
Right. So I mean, there you have it with that. So again, a lot to unfold, a lot to see in the coming months and weeks here moving forward. So, do you have any predictions as far as who you think match of the night would be?
I think match of the night could possibly go to Eddie and Sammy.
That's going to be so brutal. Yeah. I don't think people realize what they're going to get ready to see with that match if they do it the way they did the original one. And knowing Sammy and how he works, and since this is his thing, I think it will definitely live up to that hype there. So, you're going there. I said earlier, Taya and Deonna could potentially be that match. I wouldn't be shocked if it was the X Division match as we predicted to open up the show with those three and how they do work off of each other. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited for it. Looking forward to it. Can't believe 2021 and I'm excited for an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view.
I agree. Again, I'm not buying it, but I'll definitely check it out.
All right. Well, follow along with us. Tweet at us, shoot us a message. There we go. Follow us, Dumbmarks Pod at Dumbmarks Pod. And we got all the rest of the taglines streaming across there on the bottom for you. So with that, enjoy the show Saturday night. Let us know what your thoughts are. We got a lot of dissenting opinions on this prediction show here. So one of us is gonna be riding high Saturday night, and the other one is gonna take a lot of L's. So with that, you got any? Yeah. You got any final thoughts before we sign off here? Thanks everybody for tuning in, listening. Let us know what you think. Like we said, we got more prediction shows for you for the major pay-per-views here with all three companies, and we're gonna look to make these as interactive as possible. Thanks for the comments there from Johnny reaching out, and to everybody else. Hope you enjoyed the show. Let us know what you think, your picks for Impact's Hard to Kill this Saturday night. And Chris, I'll leave it to you for your final thoughts, and then we can sign off.
Yeah. Don't forget, guys, every Saturday morning, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 11 a.m. for our weekly edition of our podcast. So tune in this Saturday at 11 a.m. and,
That's right. The dynamic duo becomes the Fantastic Four, and not the remake version with Michael B. Jordan in it.
Yeah, you get all the marks every Saturday. So we probably won't talk as much Impact on Saturday since we covered that in this edition. But we definitely we'll discuss a little bit more of AEW New Year's Smash, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown from this week. And, MLW even had a pretty good episode this week, so there's a lot to discuss in bell to bell this week.
Yes, sir. All right, with that, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you guys, and until next time, you can catch us around the way.